Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to show you how to calibrate your Cricut machine. I printed out stickers this Christmas and you can see how it's cutting off center from the design. If you notice your Cricut not cutting your print and cut accurately, like this, you'll want to calibrate the machine and that should fix the problem. I'm in Cricut Design Space and I'm going to go up to these three dashes at the top left. I'm going to select it and I'm going to select Calibration. As you can see, there's three different things that you can calibrate. If you have an Explorer Air 2, you would only, or an Explorer Air 3, you would only have the print and cut option. But if you have the Cricut Maker, you also have the option for the Rotary Blade and the knife blade. So what calibration does is it just makes sure that the Cricut is getting the most accurate cuts. So what Cricut recommends is the first time that you use print and cut, the knife blade, or the rotary blade on your machine, you'll want to calibrate it, and you only have to calibrate it that first time, and after that you don't have to calibrate it at all unless you're noticing that your Cricut is not cutting correctly. And as you can see with my Christmas trees, it's not cutting it accurately, but I also didn't calibrate it when I first bought the machine for print and cut, and this machine's pretty new, so I guess I should have done that. Also, even if you're not using print and cut and you're just cutting something out like of cardstock or vinyl and it's not cutting accurately, I would go back in and try to calibrate for print and cut. I've done that before and for some reason that has worked. I'm going to show you how to calibrate for print and cut first because that's the most common one that you would use, and then I'll show you how to calibrate for the knife blade and the rotary blade, but I am going to select on print and cut. The first thing it tells you to do is print the calibration sheet. I have two different printers, so I need to switch mine to my Epson Workforce, and I will select print. The printer just printed that. One thing I want to mention is I've had a couple people message me and their printer wasn't printing the calibration sheet correctly. So one thing you can do if it doesn't want to print the calibration sheet correctly is you can go over to Cricut's website, and right here they have a PDF file for the calibration sheet. So if I click on that and select it, you can see it right here. So all you would have to do is print the PDF sheet on here, and I can leave the link for this in my description box. For step 2, it says place the sheet in the top left corner of your mat, then select continue. Here I'm just placing the printed sheet on my mat, and I'm using my blue light grip mat because this is just standard copy paper. Now it's telling me to load my mat into the Cricut machine. I load my mat into the Cricut machine, then I'll press the go button, and the first thing it'll do is read the sensors from that black outer line. Once it's done reading the sensors, it will cut out that square in the center. Next it says, without unloading the mat, examine the cut lines around the small square in the middle. Does the cut line touch the printed line all the way around? It's a little difficult to see, but the cut line on the bottom didn't touch the line at all. Since it does not, I'm going to select no. It says, let's try to get the cut closer to the printed line, then we can fine tune the calibration. So let's continue to perform the cuts. Now the Cricut is going to make cuts along the top lines and on the side. It says, without unloading the mat, examine the lines on the top and right of the calibration sheet. I want to choose which one cuts the closest on the top and the right. You can see that the cut lines start further away, and as it gets closer to the center, it lines up a little bit better, and then as it gets further to the right, the cut lines are further off again. It looks like 9 or 10 is lined up the best. For the right side, I would say either G or H would be lined up the best. The top, I'm going to choose 9. And for the right, I'm going to choose H. Now it says to hit continue. Okay, so now it says unload mat. Now that the calibration cuts have been completed, we need to reprint and retest your machine. Unload the mat and click continue. I unloaded the mat, I forgot to film it, but now I am just going to select continue. So we're going to follow the same process again. I am going to hit reprint. And I'm going to place my sheet that printed on the top left corner of my Cricut mat. I'll select continue, and it'll have me load it into my Cricut machine again. Once again, it's going to read the sensor lines and then cut around that middle square. If you did this already and your lines were centered perfectly on that square, then it's not going to make you go through this whole process again. But if you're not having accurate cuts, you'll most likely have to do what I'm doing in this video. Now it's asking me to check the cut line around the square. That cut perfectly around the square, so I am going to select yes and hit continue. The Cricut's going to follow the same process by cutting the top and the right lines, and then I will choose which one lines up the best. It looks like 12 lines up the best for the top and L lines up the best for the right. So for the top, I'm going to select 12, and for the right, I'm going to select L. And I'll select continue. Now it's going to do one final cut of the outer rectangle. It's hard to see in the video, but the cut lines are right along that rectangle, so that's great. It centered that perfectly, so I am going to select yes, and it says we're almost done, select continue to go to the final calibration screen. I didn't see a final screen on there, it just showed the home page. So I unloaded my Cricut mat and I decided to reprint and cut the Christmas trees. I wanted to make sure that it worked, and as you can see here, it centered it perfectly. Next, I'm going to calibrate my knife blade. I'll go back up here and select calibration. Then I am just going to select knife blade. It says insert knife blade into clamp B and place printer paper in the top left corner of the mat. So I'm going to do that and then I'll hit continue. Here I'm just switching out my fine point blade with my knife blade. Then I place just a plain sheet of white copy paper in the upper left hand corner of my Cricut mat, and I will load that into my Cricut machine and press the go button. It says after you unload your mat, count down from the top and select the group of lines that overlap the most, and it gives an example here. I unload my Cricut mat, then look at the cut lines. It's very difficult to see in this video, but a lot of them overlapped really well, so I decided to choose the one that just looked the best to me. To me, it looked like 5 might have been the best, so I'm going to select that and I'll hit continue. And it says calibration complete. That was super quick and easy, so I'll just hit close. For my last one, I'm going to do the Rotary Blade, so I'll go back up to calibration and select Rotary Blade. I'm going to place my Rotary Blade in clamp B and add another piece of paper, and then I'll hit continue. I'm switching out my knife blade for my Rotary Blade, and then I place a white sheet of paper on my Cricut mat again and load that into the Cricut machine and press go. The Cricut will then make the test cuts with the Rotary Blade. It says counting down from the top, select the set of lines that overlap the most. Once again, it's difficult to see the cut lines here. So every single line overlapped, so I feel like I could really pick any of them. Number 4 looks like it might be the best, but I don't know. They all looked really similar, so I feel like I can't go wrong, but I'm just going to select 4 and hit continue. And it says calibration is complete, so that was also super fast and easy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you have any questions, then just leave a comment down below. I will try my best to answer it. If you are new to my channel, I share all things Cricut and craft related, so I would love it if you subscribed, and I hope you have an excellent day.